open up to you, and especially when there are topics such as Tibet, was like confidentiality an issue when talking to these people?
Question is, how easily did people open up, especially on sensitive topics like Tibet?
It depended on the person. I met a lot of people, and many who I'm sad when I see the film that are not in there. I mean, you guys see the film and you get to meet all these people, but I see the film and I'm like missing all these people that didn't make the final cut. Some people did not want to be filmed, and so I didn't film them. I'm not really into sort of like pushing my lens into people's faces if they don't want it there. Some people would have to spend some time together before they wanted to talk. Some people would want to know more about me. I think there was a lot of curiosity that was going on there. In terms of the woman speaking about Tibet, she's a dissident. So she's considered a dissident author. And so she's very, what's the word I'm looking for? She's very okay. She's very happy to share those perspectives and to share that particular dimension of that side of the question of modern development and the introduction of transportation infrastructure.
We have time for one final question. Yes?
There were no scenes of Chinese military personnel. I assume that was a deliberate thing on your part.
It was very hard to film, so the workers usually wouldn't let me film the military. I do have some people who were in plainclothes who were military workers, and they didn't make the final cut, but I've had many a times when I had a hard sleeping berth, which is great because they're the most comfortable and I love sleeping on them. And they're not as soft as the soft sleepers, which are too small and enclosed, and if you have guys with smelly feet, it's really a terrible experience. So I like the open hard sleepers with 3 people to each side versus the 4 people in a compartment. But there's many times I remember throughout my entire life of being back and forth between China and here where I would have a ticket for a hard sleeper and be doing something else in the train and trying to go back to my berth, maybe after a little bit of rice wine, and crawling up into my seat and then finding a military guy passed out who probably had a lot more rice wine than I did. And they were usually pretty cool about it. I just tap them and say, can you go? And they would crawl back down. And a lot of them are also just very, very curious. Sometimes train workers or soldiers would pull me into their berth or into their little office, and I thought they were gonna like yell at me or delete footage, and they would be like, so how much is a house in the US? And how much is a bottle of Coca-Cola? And how much is a second-hand car? Just these very basic questions. Speaking to this really huge lack of understanding and any sort of like, any sort of meaningful understanding of these 2 different superpowers.
I'm afraid that's all the time we have, but JP, thank you very much.
Thank you.